So welcome to this session about self-empathy. And this is the first of 3. Tomorrow it will be empathy, and the day after honesty. Some of you I recognize, some of you might be new to NVC, some of you have had a lot of NVC. So this is for beginners. So I will talk a little bit about the challenges for us using NVC. I will go through the 4 components of NVC: observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And I will apply those 4 components to self-empathy. While beginning, I can just say what's in line with NVC. We want to transmit what is happening in ourselves and in our bodies. So right now, I feel a little rush of adrenaline, I think. It's always a little exciting to see a lot of new people and to talk to you like this. And also we had some problem with the technique. We were trying to transfer some presentation and our computers did not communicate. So I'm a little stressed like this. So I guess I have a need of calmness, of harmony, and to be seen as a professional and things like that. So you know where I'm at, and at the same time I'm also excited because this is one of my favorite topics, subjects in my life, and I love to share this with all of you. So yeah, that's also alive in me, this connecting to meaningfulness and to contribute and such juicy things. So thanks very much for joining. So now we are 34 people and time is almost 10 past and we will end at 5. So I better get started moving here. Right. So my name is Joachim Berggren and we have Magdalena Malinowska, and we, as I said, we are representing Empathic Way Europe, and we are hosting an online workshop starting in October. So this is a little teaser for those of you who want to join that. And if you stay till the end, you will get a little code which you can use if you want to join. So you can get an extra percentage of the price. And I will briefly go through the model of NVC. I will combine it with some example from me, and then you will also have the chance to do your own example. So if you want to, you can use a pen and a paper or some writing things on your computer, or just do it in your head. And any questions, as I said, just raise your hand or ask in the chat, so we will try to answer them. And today we're going to see how we can approach ourselves when we are less than perfect, or when we see other people who we imagine or interpret are less than perfect. And many of us has this voice in the head. It's like watching a soccer game on television. You see the match, you see the players and the football, but you also hear the commentators. They have different interpretations of what is happening. They have different judgments, opinions, and things that is constantly coming out of the television. And simultaneously, I have that in my head. I have an inner voice commenting what is going on in my life, almost more or less all of the time. It has opinions. It has very much opinions of what I'm doing and what other people are doing. And the advantage with the soccer game on the television is that you can turn off the sound. But this inner voice of mine is very hard to turn off. Sometimes, especially when I'm sleeping, it's gone. But otherwise, it's more or less constantly present, this voice in my head. So, and this voice is especially harsh when we do something that are not in line with our values or our needs, or when we see other people do or say things that are not in line with our values and needs. And this voice, even if it's hard, it has good intentions. This voice of ours, it has good intentions. It wants us to behave in line with our values and our needs, and it wants others also as well to behave in line with our values and needs. And sometimes this voice actually manage to change our behavior, and in a much lesser degree, if we speak this voice, it might change other people's behaviors as well. But it's a quite hard way of learning. It sort of eats itself into our self-esteem and our self-worth and our integrity. It's like having this voice, or when you get demands from the outer side, things you must or mustn't do, should or shouldn't do. Okay, we might adapt to it, and we don't do what other people say is not to do. But it's like this external force. It's much easier to change our behavior or do what we want when we have this internal motivation, when we have this, I want to do this because it's in line with my values, or it will take me to where I want to go, instead of, don't do this, or think about what people will say about you if you do like that, and then you restrain yourself from doing different things. So being able to listen to our bodies are a big advantage if we want to behave or do things more in line with our own values, our own needs, our own longings, what we would like to see us doing in the world, or if we want to transform what is happening in the world. So being able to listen to ourselves with self-empathy is a big advantage if we want to have this capacity of change. And when I present this NVC, nonviolent communication, it's my understanding of what Marshall Rosenberg was trying to convey. Marshall Rosenberg was the founder of NVC. So it's not that I say the truth about NVC. It's more like I'm playing this cover song of Marshall, and I'm trying to explain how I see self-empathy and NVC through my understanding of what I heard him and other NVC trainers say. So in most cultures, we learn how to deal with our discomfort when we feel feelings that we are not satisfied with, when we feel feelings that we are not enjoying. We are trying to deal with those feelings by finding what's wrong with others or ourselves. We learn how to look outside of ourselves when to solve the uncomfortable feelings we feel inside ourselves. So we learn a language of what's wrong or what's right with other people's behavior. And if we feel miserable, somehow someone must have done something wrong. And if we feel delightful, someone must have done something good. That's is my understanding how we learn things while growing up in most cultures. So we learn to divide the world and people into good and bad, right and wrong, smart or stupid, freedom fighters or terrorists or whatever. We can divide people in so many different ways. And our minds, we are experts to see the good intentions in our way of doing things or in our group's way of doing things, and the bad intentions in other people's or in other groups that we are not identified with. So this is both a biological thing and a cultural thing. We learn this in the culture, and at the same time our mind is sort of wired to protect ourselves by seeing the good things in ourselves and the bad things in others. So NVC, nonviolent communication, takes another approach towards our good and bad emotions, if you sort of say the emotions we like or the emotions we dislike. We feel as we do because something that happens are not in line with our needs. So when we feel great or happy or joyful, some of our needs are satisfied. And when we are feeling sad or angry or disappointed, some of our needs are not satisfied. So in support of this, we have the 4 components of NVC, and those are observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So the first component is observation. And things are happening in the world all the time. And those things, you can say that they are triggers to our feelings. Someone says or does something, and our mind is very fast to interpret the meaning of what that person has said and done. So our mind is an expert in evaluating and putting things in good or bad. And an observation, that's something that happens that can be seen or heard by everyone involved. It's like a video camera recording both sound and the pictures, the moving pictures of what is happening. The video camera does not involve thoughts, evaluations, judgments, and so on. It's just, okay, there's a table there and there's a guy moving like this over there, and there's someone who's saying something over there. And when we mix in our own thoughts and values in the observations, then other people might not agree with that interpretation. But it's very hard for people not to agree with the observation. So I will try to exemplify those 4 steps with an example of mine. I'm the organizer of the NVC Summer Festival this year, and as you all know, the corona hit the world, and we had to cancel it. And some people have paid in money. And I promised to pay back, and I promised to pay back in a few days, and it didn't happen. So you could say that the observation is that I wrote an email where I promised to pay back the fees in a few days. And after 1 month, I hadn't done it. That's an observation. Everyone would agree that this is what happened. But my interpretation of this is like, oh, I screwed up, I'm lazy, why can't I ever keep promises? So a lot, my inner comment went bananas. So that's what's happening inside. And those inner comments does not help me so much. So I want to see the observation and then connect the observation to the second step, to the second component, which is feelings. So feelings, our bodies, we have feelings all the times. Our system produces a lot of emotions all the time. Even if we are not aware of it, we have feelings all the time. And when something happens, our bodies react. We feel pleasant or unpleasant feelings. And how we define feelings in NVC is something is happening in our bodies. We have emotions, sensations that is sort of firing now and then all the time. It's giving us sort of messages. And sometimes we use our thoughts. We think that our thoughts are our feelings. So we, for example, we can say, I feel that you don't care about me. And that's actually not a feeling. It's my thought about what someone else does or not towards me. So behind the thought, I feel that you don't care about me. Of course, there are feelings behind, but when we say, I feel you don't care about me, if the other person can't read my body language, he or she actually don't know what is going on inside of me, because I can be furious, I can be disappointed, I can be sad, I can have a lot of different feelings behind these thoughts. So in order to connect with another person and make them understand what is happening in me, it's much easier to use feelings than my thoughts if I want to convey what is happening inside of me. So in this case, with this email I sent and the non-action of not paying out money, I had both thoughts. I had some similar thoughts that I already told you. Other thoughts could be like, how will people see me now? Think if they will not come next year to the festival. Yeah, so a lot of thoughts going on inside of me towards this event. And if I take a closer look behind my thoughts and actually connect to my body level, to, you know, my heart might be beating, I might have some constraint in my stomach, or yeah, you know, many things can happen with our bodies. So in this case, I felt shame, some discouragement, some fear, was also sadness, and also irritation towards my inaction of doing this. So a lot of things going on. And in NVC, we want to take responsibility for our feelings, not connecting our feelings to other people's behaviors. So that's the third component, and that's needs. So needs are the source of our feelings. When our needs are satisfied, we feel pleasant feelings, and when our needs are not satisfied, we feel unpleasant feelings. And it's like this fantastic internal, how to say it, evaluation thing. We can always use our body to sort of, where am I in this situation? Are my feelings, are my needs satisfied or not? We just can go to our feelings and check it out. And if our feelings are not satisfied, we might want to do something so to maybe satisfy our needs or do something else. So we have this internal system that helps us. It's a very good help if we have this knowledge about needs and feelings. And needs are universal. All people on the planet share the same needs. Some needs are very obvious, like we all have needs for air to breathe, for warmth, for energy and food, water, etc. And then we have those other needs that might be connected to meaningfulness or for respect or love or understanding. So all needs are life's way to inform us if we are in line with what's good for us. So I guess from the beginning, when we were primates, if we saw something sweet, a fruit, and enjoyed it, we went for it. So it sustained our lives. And if we ate something that was not so good, that made us feel ill, we stayed away from it. So we have this tendency to go towards things that makes us feel good and potentially make our needs might be satisfied, or to avoid things that are feeling bad. So we are staying away from things that are not satisfy our needs. So it's an old system, and now we have sort of put words on it, and we can now, with NVC, we can have a better view and make better decisions what we want to do with our lives. And because needs are universal, they are not connected to specific people, to specific actions, to specific times or specific places. So when we take in people and actions and places and time in our preferences, what we want, then we are talking about our strategies to fulfill our needs. So it's like a key differentiation to be able to diverse our needs from our strategies. So we can hold our strategies with light hand and hold our needs like dog for our needs, to try to see that those needs are satisfied, but we have a lot of different ways of doing it. All right, so in this example with this male, I connected my feelings. Like I said, I felt some shame and discouragement, fear and sadness. I connected those feelings with needs of trust, being seen, integrity, acceptance, how I'm seen in the world and by other people. And I can also go to, because everything we do is, we try to fulfill our needs. So why didn't I pay out the money back then? That was also somehow connected to my needs. And I guess at that time, I had this need for relaxation, harmony, peace, and maybe also freedom. I do what I want to do. And I might have fulfilled those needs back then, but then it's also had a cost by those other needs that wasn't fulfilled at the time. So by seeing this, I tried to fulfill those needs, and then those needs were not satisfied. I can evaluate my actions out of that, instead of listening to my very hard critic that says that that's wrong. Why are you always doing this? Yeah. And when I'm noticing those needs that are important for me with integrity and how I'm seen, maybe I want to take some action. And then we come to the fourth step, which is requests. So, because most people can't read our minds, we want to speak up about our needs, either for ourselves or for others. So if we speak out our needs and put a request around our needs, the chance of our needs being fulfilled is much higher than if we hold it back and hope that other people will see what we need, and hopefully they will do things that are in line with our needs. So I can improve the process by speaking up, by actually make a request. And request can take several forms. It can be, I might want to be heard by someone, so I can ask, would you like to listen for me for a couple of minutes and reflect back what you heard me say? That could be one type of request. Another one could be that I'm curious what I've just said, how did this affect the other person who was listening to me? So another request could be, would you like to share what's happening in you? What are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Whatever, when you heard me speak. And a third kind of request could be that we want some action. We want someone to do something, or we might want ourselves to do something. And requests are just requests. They are not the demands. We want to be open to hear and know when we say this request. And actually, if we go into NVC really deep, we never hear no from other people. We just hear what people say yes to. And when people say no to our request, they say yes to something that's important for them. They say yes to their own needs. And right now, in this moment, they might not see how they can say yes to my request and still satisfy their own needs, whatever their needs are. So, and then I can choose to be curious and ask, well, would you like to do this in a later time? Or I might say, I can ask someone else. Or I have this multitude of opportunities when I hold my requests also with the light hand, as well as my strategies. You can say that strategies from the needs and requests, they are connected. So when I make a request, I want to involve specific people doing specific actions. Otherwise, they might not know what to do if I ask a request. So in this case, I did not do this very consciously, but when I was in contact with my needs, I took an action and I wrote an additional email and I paid out the money. And I also asked the people if there was something I needed to know about this. Was there anything that happened in their lives that didn't go according to their plans because of my non-action in paying out their money? So I tried to repair what happened in this situation. Right. So that was the four components of NVC. Observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And if we go back now to the self-empathy part. So we can use those 4 components. So whenever we find ourselves in a state of, we might be, our emotions might scream at us. We might disconnect from our ability of cognitive thinking, or we might be overwhelmed, or I guess you all have this experience in coming into situation and being like totally blank or outraged or running away or something like that, that we are sort of hijacked by our emotions. And by using those 4 components, we can actually sort of calm down ourselves and find a strategy that is working towards our own needs and other people's needs. And sometimes when we are hijacked by emotions, that might be the best way to do, to run away, to scream, to freeze, or whatever we do. And at the same time, we want to have the choice. We want to be able to choose what we would like to do. Because if we can choose, we can manage ourselves, and hopefully we can get better results, better connections, better relations, if we are not driven by our emotion, but are more purpose-driven than emotionally driven. So for me, NVC is this double approach. I want to be at the same time more sensitive. I want to be able to find the feelings inside of my body. I want to be able to now something is happening and I'm not pleased with this situation. I want to be sort of fine-tuned and see to navigate in my body. And at the same time, I want to be resilient and robust and not be a slave of my feelings, but okay, I will detect my feelings, and I can use my feeling as a guide towards my needs. So often I don't want to act directly on my feelings because I might be hijacked by my primitive brain that wants to fly or fight or freeze or faint or whatever it wants to do. So I want to have this choice of using my feelings as a guide. So often when we find ourselves in those situations, our stress levels are quite high. And as you might know, when we are stressed, we don't have access to our full intelligence, our full cognitive ability to think, and so on. And often during stress, we take bad decisions. We say things we regret, and we do things we wished we hadn't done. So it's a kind of a superpower to be able to manage our inner system when we are in those circumstances. And then self-empathy is a great tool in doing this. So I would like to guide you in a situation of your own, so you can have the sense of how can I use this tool, if you want. You can see NVC as a as a toolbox with specific tools to pick out, and you can see NVC as the way of living, as a constant life practice, as a philosophy, or as tools to pick out. So you choose how you want to use NVC. So now we will use it in this exercise. So I want you to think about a situation that's still, maybe it's not alive in you all the time, but when you think about it, it still brings some tension to your system. It might be something you said to someone that you regret, or it might be something someone did that you have these thoughts, how can you do such a thing? So choose a thing and a situation, and it's good that it's one specific situation. It can be something that is occurring once again in your life, but try to choose one specific incident, because it's easier to go through the exercise if you have one specific incident. So I'll give you a minute or so to think about this situation. And during the time I will read the chat. So even if you don't have anything, and also don't choose your life trauma or something where you have been abused. We don't have the time to deal with very heavy stuff. So choose something that affects you, but does not overwhelm you. So you can leave this session and this thing is not complete, and you can manage. You don't fall apart in a little hype. So that's good. And of course you can use this process with heavier stuff as well, but then I want you to have more time and to be with someone you trust and so on. So use a light thing, quite light thing. That's anyway, it's charged with things. Okay. And if you have a pen and a paper, or if you're using your computer, or if you are just using your imagination, so write down what happened. Like you told it to a friend. Sort of don't try to be a good NVCer here. Just speak out your judgments, your thoughts, and in a couple of sentences, write down what happened in this situation. So I hope you have received from Magda. Have you shared a list of feelings and needs? Not yet. Oh, here it comes. So you will have a tool here in the chat if you want to use it. A list of feelings and needs that can be used. So even if you haven't completed totally what's happened, I will continue to the next step. So now try to look at this situation and describe it as an observation. So leave out your thoughts, your judgments, your interpretations, whatever, your values, and just write down what someone did or someone said that that person would also agree with. That yes, that what was I did or what I said. And if some of you are unsure if you have mixed in some interpretations in your observation or not. We could use it as an example right now. So if you are unsure, you can raise your digital hand and we can use it as an example, or otherwise we will just continue. So I'll give you a minute or so to complete this step. So everyone seems sure that they have written down an observation now and not mixed in any evaluation or anything like that. So think about your sentence or sentences. Could it be captured by a video camera? Or are there any interpretations mixed in? So this step is sort of quite cold, free from emotions. It's just an observation. All right, so I'll continue. So because I asked you to pick a situation which is still have some charge, still is alive in you, write down what you are feeling right now. So when you were in the situation, you might have felt scared, maybe. And right now, when you think about the situation, you might not feel scared. You might feel angry or upset or something like that. So try to differentiate what you felt when this thing happened and what you are feeling now. So if this would be sort of a live self-empathy exercise for you in life, then you would go for the feelings that was felt in the body when this happened. But right now, you go for what's alive right now. And if you are a little puzzled, you can sort of just relax, think about it and see, where in my body do I have senses? Where is my heart beating? Do I have some shivering in my arms? Is my legs numb or whatever is happening in your body? Take that as a clue, like towards your feelings. And then try to put words on how is this? If I would describe this to someone else, what words would I use to describe what I'm feeling right now? And here again, if you are unsure if you have mixed in your thoughts or not, you can give your example in the group if you want to. So one clue could be like, if you look at what you have written, is there anyone else involved in your feeling? Like, I feel abandoned, for example, then there's someone else involved. That's your thought. So if you have written, I feel abandoned, you might look behind, and what am I feeling when I think that I feel abandoned? I might feel sad or discouraged or whatever feeling comes up. So I got a question here. So dismissed and disrespected is not pure feelings. No, I would say respect is a need, and how our need of respect is met differentiate between us, both individually and in which culture we grew up in. So when I say I feel disrespected, yeah, for sure there are feelings behind it, but it doesn't really say what is happening inside of you. So behind the thought of being disrespected, it might be anger or sadness or irritation, or there can be many kind of feelings. So try to find the feeling behind the thought of being disrespected. So, Pari, do you want to say something? So you can unmute yourself, or I can maybe unmute you. No, I can't. Maybe Magdalena can unmute you. Or you unmute yourself. Or maybe the hand is not intended to say something right now. All right, so yeah, now. Did you want to say something, Pari?
No, about emotions, that when we because my English is not good, I was not comfortable to talk, but yes, I can. When we thought that the other people has not answered us respectfully, maybe we are angry or disappointed or something like that. And
yeah.
And you have some questions in the chat.
Yes. Is guilt a feeling? Yeah, it's like you can say that words are not life. Words are like signs. Words point towards something. So when I feel guilt, when I say guilt, or if I say hurt, for example, it depends on how do I use the word. I can use, for me, it's easier to use, say the word hurt here, for example. I can use the word hurt like, I feel hurt by you. Then I mix in someone else in my, so to say, word, a feeling of hurt. And then it's more used like a thought. Or I can use the word hurt like, well, it's in this situation, it's like a sore inside of me. It really hurts inside of me. So then I use the word hurt as a feeling inside of me. And I guess it's the same with guilt. It can be connected very much to someone else. And maybe it also can be used as a sort of pure feeling. So it depends how you use the word. It's not so easy to divide all words, like on this side it's pure feelings, and on the other side it's pure thoughts. So it depends how you use the word. And can I clarify the difference between emotions and feelings according to NVC? I don't know if I have the sort of the correct answer, but I see emotions like more or less body sensations that is happening in our body, and feelings as the words we put on those body sensations. There might be a lot of other differentiations around feelings and emotions, but that's the way I use it. And I have a little disadvantage. We don't really have this differentiation in Sweden, where I come from. So yeah, sometimes the language in itself can be, depending where we grow up, it can be easier or harder to use different association towards different words. So time runs on, so I go on. Yes, that was feelings. And now you want to take responsibility for those feelings. You don't want to connect your feelings to someone else's action, because then you make yourself sort of like dependent on their actions. You react to what they do. And actually you feel what you feel because your needs are met or unmet. So you connect your feelings to your needs. For example, if I and Magda sit in a room and someone comes in and yells towards us, we will probably have different feelings around it. Magda might feel curious or joyful because, wow, this is not something that happens so often. It's exciting. And I might feel afraid and scared. So a specific action can't make us feel what we feel. We feel what we do because we have needs. So now you can use Magda's lists of needs and connect. What am I feeling and what needs am I longing for to be satisfied in regard to this situation? So you have a clue both from your feelings and from the situation. What needs might be activated in this situation? And because I'm a Swede, the clock just turned to 5. So those of you who wants to leave can do it. I want to round up by a final step. So those of you who wants to stay can stay for 3 minutes extra. And if you haven't been able to find the needs, I guess Magda, we will stay a little while after this session, and you can ask us if you want some clarification. So even if you're not done, I will go to the last step right now. So if you have detected what needs are active in you, what needs are you longing for to be satisfied according to this situation, go back to step number 1, where you describe the situation, and look at it through your maybe new angle when you know what needs of yours are activated here. And look at this and ask yourself, would I like to ask a request, to make a request here? Would I like to request myself of something in accordance to this situation? Like, wow, I would like to a friend of mine to listen to me what happened in this, because I notice I need to talk about this some more. So I would need some empathy, for example. So I will ask myself to, okay, within 1 hour, I will write a message to my friend and ask if he or she wants to listen to me. Or it could be like, imagine yourself being in this situation and then asking this person a request that potentially might satisfy your needs in this situation. So if someone took the last cake at the office, it could be, oh, I would actually want to talk to this colleague, and so it could be something like, oh, I notice I'm a little curious because yesterday you took the last cake, and I would like to know what went through your mind, because we were some other people who were sitting there, and you didn't ask if someone else wanted a cake. Just an example. So you could ask what was going on inside this person. That could be one example. So a little hasty in the end here, but I would like to end our session. So you who wants to go on in life can do that, and those of you who wants to stay a little bit can do that. And you will get this code from Magdalena if you want to participate in this online intensive NVC workshop that starts in October. And I hope to see you all tomorrow and the day after, when we are dealing with empathy and honesty as well. So if anyone wants to say something, hello, goodbye, you can unmute yourself, and have a good evening wherever you are, or a good morning or a good night. Okay, thanks and bye-bye.